We are live.
We're back. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Steve. Where are we?
We're, so excited today. We are shooting from one of our sponsors, the Owl app. We are shooting from their studio here in lovely Boca Raton, Florida.
Thank you, Jason, for accommodating us today. And now we have to step up our game because this is pretty.
This studio is pretty nice, What are we going to have to do?
I don't know. Black curtains is a nice touch.
It definitely, Jason did a good job here at the Owl app. We're excited. Thank you, Jason, for letting us be here. But also want a big shout out to all of our other sponsors, our title sponsor, leadershipbooks.com, our newest sponsor, OMM Media, and Cindy Metzler. So excited to have, Cindy and her PR team be one of our sponsors. Think Big and as usual, Premier Virtual, who kind of backs a lot of this stuff. So thank you to all of our sponsors. But John, why are we here?
Well, let's officially announce ourselves. I'm John Garcia.
I'm Steve Edwards, and we are weeding through the BS. We're here to get down to the bottom of shit.
That's it.
We're not here to just play around. If you've watched us, if you're subscribed to us, you're going to see we have some fun.
We have heroes on this show.
Heroes. We have people that are that are here to tell their story. Now, I am so excited to have Nicole here today. Nicole, we've known each other for a while. We kind of hang in the same circles, see each other in the same networking. We have some of the same views, some of the different views. So I can't wait to ask some of these things on here. But, Nicole, I'll let you say it, but Nicole is an author. HR is sexy.
Yes.
Welcome, Nicole. Tell us.
Wait. Before she does, that's his favorite word. We make tech sexy, right?
We make tech sexy, right? I love that, right? Sexy tech.
Yeah. So HR, I want to hear this. This is really cool.
I can't believe you took my term. I'm really.
We're gonna have to go back to the copyright.
Yeah, go back to the copywriters on tech is sexy.
Can you hear her through the?
I'll put her up a little bit.
Yeah, put her up a little bit. So. We're here, right? New equipment, on Jason's here. He runs an amazing podcast. He's had, what's Jason had? 1,000 guests on between his podcast, Shrimp Tank, Owl, and everything. So
Whiskey Wednesdays. Make sure you're downloading the Owl app, by the way. Yeah. If you haven't downloaded it yet.
If you don't have the Owl app, you definitely need it. I'm on the Owl app. It's great for conferences. It's great for meeting people and talking. And you can't touch everybody at your conferences when you're speaking. And that Owl app gives you the ability to reconnect with everybody.
Yeah, it's funny. I texted Jason the other day. I was like, man, I got yelled at on your app today. And now she's going to be a guest on my podcast. But she had reached out to me on the Owl app, I don't know, like a month ago.
Oh,
there he is. Special guest. Jason, thank you.
Little cameo.
So I'm on the Owl app a couple months ago. My phone rings and she goes, Steve, I need your help. First thing, I love that, right? Is you need my help. Okay, well, that's why you're on the Owl app, right? She's like, I'm doing this pitch deck, and one of my clients is going to be in a pitch competition, and I need your help. So I gave her the information, and she kind of told me a little bit about herself, and I knew she helps people write books. So the other day, right, all of a sudden my phone rings again. So I'm like, oh, this is good, right? She's calling me back and I go, hey, how was everything? She goes, man, what you did for me was so great. My client loved it, right? All the information that you gave me. So I'm like, I'm good, right? This is good. So I'm thinking she's going to ask you another. She goes, so Steve, I saw your profile today on the Owl app and it said that you're writing a book. I go, yeah, I am. She goes, I'm not real happy that you didn't call me back after we had a conversation. I'm like, well, here's what happened, right? Leadership Books, who's one of our other sponsors here. I go, I went to them and, they're helping me. It's not just weeding through the BS is the book. It's a whole series. So they signed so that we're going to start with a 7-book series through Leadership Books on weeding through the BS and different things. So then I'm like, hey, listen. I love what you do to her. So she's going to be a guest on our podcast.
All right,
she does so much more than just a book, but it's great to be able to say when people want to connect with you and it's quick, they can call, ask a 5-minute, 10-minute question and you're answering that phone call that's there. So back to that, right? We kind of got a little interrupted. It was good. So Nicole, tell us about Nicole. Tell us about who you are, right? Your HR is Sexy book and what you're doing here.
Well, I've been in HR for 17 years now. I just figured it out the other day. I feel old. Somebody did tell me I was looking old.
Time flies.
And I
when
was
you're
like,
having
well, it's better to look old than be dead. So I'm
Yeah,
okay.
every
Amen
day
to
above
that.
ground's a good day.
Yep.
So
Not
I was
everyone
like,
gets a chance to
oh,
say that. Yep.
yeah, I was like, okay, I'll take it. 17 years. 6 years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm tired of working in corporate America. I'm tired of the BS.
Ah, woo!
There it is.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Tired of the BS. I was tired of the politics of the workplace. I was tired of, never being able to get things done and accomplished, helping the employer, helping the employee. That was always a back and forth, and somebody's agenda was going above somebody else's for the right thing, the wrong thing. It didn't matter. And I decided to go out. I built my own HR solutions firm, going into 6 years now. And 3.5 years into that, we decided to go out into recruiting. And we do recruiting consulting as well as actual recruiting for all different types of positions. But our recruiting consulting relates highly to the book HR is Sexy, where we build a hiring culture, where we hit people as soon as they're walking in to retain and to focus on retention, instead of bringing people on and then worrying about the culture and worrying about what it is and how we're moving forward. And I also work really in depth with business owners and CEOs around options. Like, what are your options? HR is normally just, no, you can't do that. Well, we're going to figure out a way to do it, and we're going to figure out a way to do it legally. We're going to figure out a way that kind of skirts and gives you some loopholes, but we're going to figure out a way.
You mean like look at their profiles on social media?
Oh, we don't do that. We highly
there it is.
There it is.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
That one's taboo.
We had a very heated discussion about that on social media.
Right. So we can talk about that later when you finish, because I like that discussion.
I do too. I think it's a great discussion. I actually just had it again at Palm Beach State a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
About the social media aspect. Some of the new candidates going out into the workforce was worried about their social media being viewed by their employers and how they should handle that in terms of getting.
Don't post stupid stuff on social media.
Well, First Amendment right gives you that ability.
So right, but then I can also
you have every right to post stupid stuff.
So let me ask you this: is LinkedIn, Facebook, or I should say, are LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram public knowledge?
Public knowledge.
Public knowledge. So if you post something for your right to speak out there on social media, why shouldn't I be able to look in public knowledge to see what you posted?
Oh, I think you absolutely can.
Well, yeah, you can.
HR frowns upon it.
You can. Well, the courts have frowned upon it too.
Yeah. So there is illegal.
Employers have not been successful.
But are we talking about California? Or are we talking about good states like Florida?
Well, I don't disagree with that.
All right.
But what I will say is that there have been a number of cases for social media, and where employees have been fired, candidates haven't been hired because of things that they post, if they have a political opinion or if they post in a certain way. And I mean, we can go back to OnlyFans. I mean, that's become public domain as well. And there's been a number of teachers that have been let go from their employer when their employers found out that they had an OnlyFans account.
I have seen that. And honestly, they probably are happy that they got let go, because I mean, here in Florida, I know my wife was a teacher for 10 years. They make garbage.
They do.
So when you're looking at what they're making on OnlyFans, they're probably making a ton more, like I don't have a foot fetish. I'm not, on there, but man, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm like, man, if somebody wants to look at my feet, like, I think I got sexy feet,
We've talked about that all the time. I'm like, I don't know if this HR business is.
Fortunately, the camera just stops at the desk, so we can't see.
You can't see?
Oh, good thing. I promise you don't want to see it.
Well, if you have some kind of contract, though, that you can't say things on social media, then that's different, right?
Well, it comes down to disparagement of the employer when it comes to the employer-employee relationship. So you can't disparage or cause harm. You get into defamation and things like that to the employer. However, if you're posting on a Friday night that you're out partying and you're doing all these things and the employer's like, well, I don't like that. And then Monday morning, somebody reports it that you were out partying and you get fired for it. How is that fair? It doesn't determine what you are at your job or whether you're skilled for the job. Now, if you called in sick that day and you're being you called in sick, you want to use PTO or sick time or whatever, you bring in a doctor's note and you're at the Marlins game, you get on the big screen TV, you're on the Marlins game, you post it on social media, at what point there does it become, where you lie to the employer? BS. And I think that that's a case for each individual company. I think that, but as a whole in recruiting, when you're viewing somebody's social media, again, it may not reflect how well they do the job. And at the end of the day, it's how well did they do the job?
Yeah.
Can they come in and work for me, do my job, not cause BS, not cause drama?
Yeah, just basically the performance, coming back to the parameters
the real parameters of employment. So free speech, yes, we have it. You also have consequences of free speech.
I 100% agree with you on that. I believe if you get fired because you party or maybe you go to church, right, and post stuff about church and they fire you because of that, I agree. But I also, this kind of got off topic, but I believe, like we all know, right, not to get into politics, but right, our last election was a little crazy. This one coming up, I mean, there's going to be fireworks, right? Especially we'll say depending if DeSantis and Trump both run, that's going to be a pay-per-view, right? That's going to be out there. But I even, I talk to my team. I'm like, we have some government clients. I'm like, just you can't disparage the government, right? Like you can post whatever you want out there. It's there, right? That's your free speech. I don't care, but I'm not going to fire somebody because they may not believe in what I believe in, right? I have people that work for me that are on both sides and I can have a conversation with them. I have people that are on, both sides of the religious debate as well. But I think that, and this is kind of where I go, if I'm looking at hiring somebody and we have a drug test, and I think we've talked about this before, right? When I was in New Jersey and I was working for a company and everybody kept coming in and failing the drug test. And it was like, man, but you could see them on their social media. And our company was very anti-social media.
Yeah.
But I looked at it anyway, right? And you would see these people, they're smoking weed and doing stuff. And I'm like, I was in outside sales, so that stuff was kind of acceptable. But they couldn't, pass a drug test. I think if you see something like that, maybe you pass on them.
Well, you could, but at the end of the day, marijuana is legal in quite a few states.
But that was correct. This was a long time ago, right? This was 15 years ago. Now there's no problem with it. I don't care if you like it or you don't like it. I don't care. But I just think there's certain things that are out there, right? Now, I don't believe that, some of the things on social media, right? And you're seeing this, I think, a lot in the sports aspect of it, where, hey, this kid was out singing a song 10 years ago, and now he's going in to be in college, and he's now blackballed. I don't believe you should look back that far.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that, right? So this goes into the point where you're at, where don't look at social media. I just think there's certain things, but I also believe that it goes back. If I'm with a company and I don't believe in their values, why would I want to work for them?
Right, and that's a huge thing. That's where the recruiting consulting comes in, and you have to be. Most companies aren't very clear on what their own values and vision and mission is in their organization. So how can you hire people based on that mission, vision, and values? And so once you start building the hiring culture and you start growing your teams, you're those definitions and you can express those to the employees. You're going to have employees that or candidates that'll say, yeah, this isn't a place for me, and they're going to weed themselves out.
Yep.
You won't
They
have
weeded through the
Yeah,
BS themselves,
it
you know.
was
So you hit on kind of a hot point, and I'm getting ready for a big speech, and I'm talking about workplace culture, right? I think this is such a hot topic right now, and tying it into the Great Resignation and everything like that. So I'll ask you, because you're in HR, right? We're gonna get into culture, but I kind of get off like I normally do.
It's okay. We can follow.
We jump
Yeah,
around a little bit.
we jump around a little bit, right? Especially with me, right? Squirrel. How many people were in the labor force in the United States in 2022?
Oh, that's good. Timely. It's like the Jeopardy stuff.
Yeah, the Jeopardy.
Doo, 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 doo.
I think we were up to, I want to say 14 or 15 million.
No, 162 million,
Oh.
right? Right, not the
Total,
unemployment.
yeah.
Because this is the
Upload,
reason
yeah.
that I talk about this is we hear about the unemployment rate so often. What's the unemployment rate? That's what this talk about. But we had 162 million people in 2022 that were in the labor workforce, right? You take out the kids, you take out the seniors, the retired, all the 162 million. How many people quit their jobs in 2022?
A lot.
Take a guess.
40 million.
No, I would say it's a little higher, maybe.
50
Yeah.
million people.
Nice.
So now let's do just some simple math. Almost 1/3 of America quit their jobs in 2022. In 2021, it was 47 million. So it's gone up, right? It broke the record 2 years in a row. So we've talked about the Great Resignation, but how do you stop that? And you said workplace culture. How do you build off of what you said? You come in, you consult, and you do this. How do you build a workplace culture in an organization?
Well, I think we have to get back to the basics of how to build a business. I think that's the biggest things. Is most individuals who start business have no idea what they're doing when they get in. They're like, I want to start a business, I want to make money, I want to do all that BS. They get in and then they're like, okay, I just need people. Now I can't make money unless I need people. So then I hire all these people and I have a revolving door. I'm turning over because I haven't built the infrastructure. I haven't built the foundation of my organization. Your people are your most important asset. They're also your most expensive asset when you've got to buy insurances for them. And I mean like general liability, EPLI, those types of things. Then you get into the health benefit aspect of it. Well, you don't build training programs. You don't build any type of onboarding program. You just hire individuals, bring them on board, and you're like, figure it out.
Never heard that before.
Not a premiere. We don't do that at all.
Not at all. And so
that's a great. I mean, we'll go on, but that's exactly the shoes that we're in. I mean, you're a startup, you're a launch, you're going through just right through and everything, and you're not doing that groundwork. You're not creating that structure.
Imagine if there was like a book of like all the challenges that you went through and how you learned from failure. Maybe a shameless plug for reading through the BS.
By Nicole.
Yeah. So back to that.
you can also find that in HR is Sexy.
Yeah. So tell us about HR is Sexy.
So in the book, I talk specifically about how to build that starting culture.
Oof.
That startup hiring culture. It starts there. And then it bleeds over, and your leadership is the most important aspect. I don't know how many times I've walked into employers and they're like, oh yeah, that person's been with us 15 years. That person's been with us 15 years. Their department has about 75% turnover. And, they're really good at their job. And I'm like, okay, well, what kind of leader are they?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean, what kind of leader? They get the job done. And I'm like, at what cost?
75%.
That's crazy.
And it's like Gary Vee has and we can cuss on this podcast.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
He uses the F-bomb quite a bit, but he's got one that says when you should fucking fire your most important employee.
Oof.
And it's fantastic. It is. I don't care if you're bringing in 20.
I'm gonna hold myself on that right now. I almost said send it out to everybody.
We've been there again.
It's and that. So when you're starting a business, there's three things that you need to have up front.
Okay.
You need to have your lawyers, you need to have your accountants, and you need to start with an HR person,
wow,
an HR consultant, especially if you're planning on hiring somebody.
Couldn't agree more.
those are your three most important aspects: legal for your contracts, getting you registered in the state. Your accountant can help with that. And then HR, which is always the last to come in, even if it's a consultant where you're paying just a little bit amount of money to get your handbook, get your the legal stuff put up. But then let's build a recruiting plan. How are we going to recruit? How are we going to bring people on? Okay, if we bring people on, what's the next step? And then once people feel comfortable and they feel welcome in an organization, it tends to shift the workplace culture, and you're hiring better. So you're going to have more individuals aligned with your mission, vision, and values. And you're going, as an owner, you know this. As an owner, the most stressful thing is having drama within your workplace.
Yeah, that's true.
And especially if you have a shit ton of different of opinions, it makes life so much easier. But if you're building a culture where you discuss and talk and have that interaction, and you can be adults about it, and you manage it as the top leader and say, no, we're not going to put up with that shit here. Like,
is this a therapy session? She's gonna make us cry.
I mean,
She's gonna just kill us.
oh my gosh! So back in 1994, like,
okay, film me.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
But I think that that's important, and that's what I explain in the book. And then you have the employer or the owner and the HR's relationship is usually terrible, because the owner is always told no, nope, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's illegal. You can't do that. So I talk about that relationship and how to build a bridge between that relationship. And then I have the hiring culture where you're building that hiring stage, and then we talk about employees.
I just saw a stat, I think today, or just recently, 52% of people that leave the workforce or that leave the job leave in the first year.
Yes.
And that the average right now is 4.1 years at a job. So you're taking someone who's been 20 years, right?
Yep.
But the average is still only 4.1. I mean, it's still, people are just not sticking around anymore.
They're not. And, other things have happened. I mean, we can blame COVID for an acceleration of individuals leaving the workplace. In the last 3 years, there have been more businesses created in the United States than ever, where people left the workplace and went
to start
their own businesses. And then you have people, and 1% of businesses actually succeed.
Wow.
So we're doing great.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Nice.
It's a struggle, but we're
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
And 1% of businesses succeed. So you're going to have those individuals that are going to leave building their own business and go back into the workplace, because it's going to get harder. And as the economy continues to downsize, you're going to see even more businesses close, and you're going to have more people in the workplace. And so I think that's something to focus on as well.
Yeah, I saw a stat the other day that was talking about almost half of America is works for a small business.
Yeah.
I think it's like 46% work for a small business.
Mm-hmm.
There's more people working for small businesses. And a lot of people don't think that. They're thinking they're out there working for big corporate America. You said it too, right? You were sick of corporate America. I was the same way. Corporate America was, I was happy, but you're sitting there looking at the other people, and I was always like, man, I'm making other people rich. But I love that you said that, right? Kind of go off on your own, because it just takes that idea and to say, hey, I'm gonna do this. What was it scary?
Well, I'm a single mom, so I'm the sole breadwinner.
Okay.
For my daughter, and so for me, it was like, what the hell am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like and it was sink or swim, and so I got out. I was actually laid off, and I got a personal loan like prior to that because I was going to start working.
I was going to ask you if you quit and you grab the goldfish and you said, who's coming with me?
No.
You got laid off.
No, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, most HR individuals are on strict confidentiality and stuff, non-solicitation, so we can't run through the office.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to go through an office and say, come on, let's go. Like, you all know you want to leave, but I can't do that. And I took out a personal loan. I was going to build my business over a course of a year to pay back that personal loan. And then I got laid off 15 days after the loan got dispersed. And so I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I had to take that money and use it for living expenses. But I was like, I'm just going. I'm going
Yeah.
head first.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
and I did. And there are days, and I'm sure, Steve, I'm sure you can attest to this. There are days where you're like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, it's
I
not for the
can't.
faint at heart, for sure.
I can't do this anymore. The up and down, the emotional toll. It is a lot of BS that you don't know. As a woman, I didn't have a lot of women that were mentors to me that I could go to and talk to. I was this young competition walking into rooms, and it was difficult. And I had a few men that took me under their wing and was like, all right, this is what you need to do. You're completely fucked right now. Like, we need to fix this. Like, we need to figure out how to fix this. And that's what we did. And we started. And then as I got more wisdom in building my business, we opened the second business, and we grew that business rapidly. Like, I hit profit first year.
Nice. Congrats.
On that
It was
business.
like related to.
Yeah. So we did just purely HR solutions first. And that business, within a year, we went from year 1 to year 2, we were 250% increase in
Awesome.
revenue.
Yeah.
And then we moved, COVID hit, and I was like, well, we need to diversify. We can't just
That's
have,
smart. Yeah.
like, we can't just have one line of business. And so then we opened Mend Recruiting, and Mend Recruiting has just flown and has been complete. And I think that one's been more profitable just because we did all the mistakes and the overhead on the Men HR solutions. And then now we're headed into our third business.
Okay, so you kind of dropped the thing, and I know we're going to drop a big bomb here in a second, but a couple questions I had. One, how can people find your book? How can they find HR is Sexy? Amazon?
Yep.
Okay.
It's on Amazon. It's easy. You can go to my website. There's a link on my website, mendhr.com. There's a link to
Mend,
MEND HR.
Okay.
And then there's a link on my LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can find me the LinkedIn / Nicole Anderson HR.
Okay. So what do you want to tell us next, right? What's number 3, right? You gave us a little teaser before we started today. So what's number 3?
So,
wait, is this HR compliant? Can you say this?
I don't know.
Did you follow up with your HR people?
Did I follow up with my?
Are they
Yes, I think I
pulling
talked
their
to
hairs
them.
out?
I don't know. My phone's been going off.
Oh,
Let
okay.
me see. Telling me to shut up.
Yeah.
No.
All right, let's roll. This is a world
Here we go,
premiere.
here we go.
Reading through the BS.
I've been a proponent of disrupting the HR industry.
Mm.
I don't see it. I see it completely different than a lot of HR people. And Steve knows this. He's heard me a couple times. I just don't say. I feel that there's options.
So you would say something like,
forget about it. Bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Okay.
And CEO said, well, my HR said this. And I'm like, bullshit.
Bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we can fix it. I am launching the world's first recruiting matchmaking app.
Yes.
Woo. Sexy.
I love it. Sexy.
Yes.
Swipe
Sexy.
right.
Sexy
Swipe
text
right.
2. Sexy
Yes,
text 2.
Yes. It is called Yodel.
No, higher right. Higher right. Ooh,
Yeah.
You can trademark that.
Mhm.
Higher right.
Well, Higher Right's already a back
Yeah.
That's right.
company. We don't want to bring them in.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, no, elite.
And we are going to be combining it and partnering it with an HR AI firm.
Okay.
Or HR AI product that is going to be an all-encompassing HR and recruiting platform. And the official announcement will be May 2nd in London.
Ooh,
and we are extremely excited about it. It is going to really shift. I don't know if anybody's used, most employers have used Indeed. They've used LinkedIn. They've used all of these other job board platforms and things, and it's garbage. If you don't have Google money, you can't get to the top of the algorithm to get talent. And so I'm like, there's got to be something different. I spend way too much money on Indeed to get shit candidates, and then now Indeed.
That was beautiful.
Oh
Let's
my
say
gosh.
that again. Go.
So I just got to stop there for a second, just because I want to tell the story that I've told for years.
Oh.
When I got into the job fair industry, putting on in-person job fairs, we used to use back then Monster.com. And then, if you look back and then we're going to fast forward to Indeed and, the limitations that a lot of the places put out there on job fair companies to try to really squeeze them out of there. But the good thing is right, it got me to where I'm at today. And but if you look at what Monster was, right, when Monster launched in like 1996, everybody remembers the Super Bowl commercials.
Yes.
They came out, they had the monkeys on there, they came out, right? They changed the industry, right? They kind of changed everything. They were the first main player. Then you came out, right? Career Builder came out, in 2005. Indeed,
Hot Jobs was out there. Back then.
Hot
Indeed.
Jobs was huge.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
sold Hot Jobs.
So, you got all of those, right? Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor came out, right? Indeed sold for $1 billion. Glassdoor sold for 1.2 billion, right? But what was it is everybody came in and it was a job board, but they changed the mousetrap a little. Now, I've been saying this for 4 years. Somebody is going to take down Indeed. Indeed right now is at the top. But remember, Monster was valued at $5.5 billion at one time and sold for like 463, right? They were there. You ask any millennial today, what's Monster.com? They're going to tell you it's the energy drink.
Yeah.
They don't know, right? They didn't keep up. The marketing was there. But I love what you're doing because somebody, and that whole somebody is going to be you,
Is
takes
me.
down Indeed, right? Every monster can be toppled.
And it is just astronomical at how their algorithm works, and we're in it every day because it is still the largest job
You have
board.
to play there.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to play their game. Like, you really don't have a choice. All the candidates are on Indeed. That's what they're doing. And I mean, it's interesting. I did I posted a sales position, and I got over 250 candidates.
And some of them were dog walkers.
Yes. And
It
now,
wasn't a dog walker position.
it might as well have been. And then they changed their pricing structure to now you get charged per application.
Yeah.
So if somebody applies, you get charged for their application after a certain amount of days. So if you can't get to that candidate and disposition their application, you're getting charged for that application. Okay, so is that person qualified for my job that I'm getting charged the application for? Chances are they're not.
Yeah.
In the state of Florida, for unemployment, candidates have to apply to 10 jobs every 2 weeks. All right, they just go on there and click and apply to jobs. Now I'm fucking getting charged.
Yes.
For somebody who is trying to keep up with their unemployment.
I call them the clickers.
Yes.
The clickers. They go in, they say, "Oh, I got to apply for jobs." Click, 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 click. Put my feet up, watch Jerry Springer for the next rest of the day, and say, "I just applied to 30 jobs. I'm good to go."
Yeah, it's
right?
And you paid for it.
It's outrageous. So I was like, we've got to do something better. I got to do something better.
Yep.
And I got with my team and met some awesome people, and we have now turned this idea into fruition.
So a non-tech person starting an app.
Yes.
We've heard that story. Not easy.
Not easy.
And we are planning in phase 3 to partner with Premier Virtual.
Well, we love to hear that.
So that in the app, you can do your hiring because it's going to be matched. It's going to be matched off of different components. I'm not going to give that away right now. Off of different.
We'll use our imagination.
Yeah.
How sexy that's going to be.
And then you'll be able to interview right in the app.
So it's amazing.
Click,
Yeah.
interview, go through the virtual room, build virtual offices, and the
We like this girl.
Yes.
and now we're taking it to a whole global experience where you'll be able to match with people all over the globe.
It's the way of the future, right? It's the dating app meets HR. I love it. I actually was on I haven't ever been on a dating app, right? Because they came out after I got married.
Really upset at you, and I'm sure your wife would.
So, but the funny story is I was at a conference and some of the people were there, and we're at a table, a bunch of people talking, and I've never heard of some of these things. People are talking. They're like, and I have friends. They're like, "Oh, I met this girl on this, and I met this guy on this," right? And they're like, and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. So, like, one of the people they're talking, and I'm like, let me see that. I go, what do you do on there? Right. So we're all sitting there, right? They're explaining the app to us married people that are there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's a female. And I go, oh, so what do? You just swipe like I think it was swipe right or something like that. I'm like, you swipe right. And then she goes, oh, you missed one that would have been good. So I went to swipe back thinking I was going backwards. She's like, no, you just swiped this guy who is not a good match to me. Cause I'm like, obviously I don't know dating apps,
Sorry.
right? But it was like just trying this. And it was, it's everything, right? When you take something that changes the world, right? Dating apps are now changing how other things are done, right?
Yeah,
The
applying that
swipe-
model to what she's doing is applying
just
that model
applying
to
it.
HR.
I love that. I know, right? There's a lot of things on the back end. Nothing, and so many people out there, and I'm sure you'll see this as when you launch it there, everybody's like, oh, why don't you just make this change on there? Because they see the front end and they think it's this little change. And you're like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me?
That's
It's so much more than just that. But and you'll see, and I love what you kind of had said, about, right, obviously the phase 3 and where we're at. And we're seeing that now, right? We're 3 years in on the premier virtual side of that, is where we're starting to get companies that are coming to us now and saying, hey, you're really big in this industry, we're really big in this industry, you're an expert on this side, we're an expert on this side. Instead of us competing, why don't we integrate together? So like I was just at a big conference in DC and I met 3 other vendors there, and they're like, all right, we're going to now integrate, right? We've heard your name, you've heard our name, how do we put this together?
Mhm.
And it's not about building something that's everything, right?
You can't.
It's
It's
how can I be an expert, right? So you're an expert in one thing, and it's amazing. What do you think, right? Let's talk about tech. Let's take HR off the table. What do you think the hardest thing that you've seen so far of trying to develop an app? Being a non-tech founder, we'll say.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Like, I have no idea their language.
Now, are you talking languages in coders language,
No,
or are you talking
Just
language in?
language and developer. Developer. I have to have an interpreter. So
yeah, we
my
do.
brother-
Yeah, we,
Josh, are you listening?
Yeah, we-
Josh,
we do
Josh,
the
are you
same.
listening? We might have another part-time thing for you.
Yeah.
yes, maybe. My brother has been phenomenal he knows how I communicate.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how I receive communication. And he's good at tech and sales and doing everything on that end, and he can receive the information and then he
And translate.
translates it
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm a very straightforward thinker, and I'm like, just give it to me.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, just tell me. And a lot of developers go in circles and all the way around,
Jose, I mean, sorry, I had a cough there.
and they're trying to explain all these moving parts, and my brain just doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
And so that's how my brother has been instrumental in translating that tech lingo.
Can I tell you, that's John, that's the best coach breath we've heard. That's
Yeah.
the strongest thing I've heard on here, because that means your mind is the same as mine. I have the exact same issue. So I would go, and mine is very similar. I say, here's what I want, do it. The developers don't understand that, right? And all of our developers speak English and everything like that, so it's not that language.
Yeah, it's not.
They don't see it. So we actually have a guy, Josh, that's in my team, that he will sit down with me. I'll say, this is what I want. He's got his degree from FAU Go Alls. How about the Final Four? Got to throw that out there.
Absolutely amazing.
But Josh will sit down with me as a software engineer, take what I want, then go and put it in their language so he can talk to them like that. And then they come back and they get it to me. And now I'm like, okay, that looks good. Because before we didn't have that. And Jose is phenomenal at what he does. But his brain works on the back of how is that going to work, where I'm saying, this is what I want it to
Yes,
be.
I see the end game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see the end game. Like, here's the idea. Here's what I want. Now figure it out. And I think that has been the biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then talking about raising money. I think that doing a raise and
Mhm.
getting the stuff you need to do raise to build this out,
Yep.
so that you can get it to market, so you can start bringing in money. I think, and I have a fantastic woman in my life. She's a friend. We go to the gym together. That she's been through this app development process.
Okay.
And she has really guided me through what it's going to look like for raising. and like raising money and doing investors and potentially going public at some point, and in all of this, because she's working through that. She's got a fantastic app for mining, not
Okay.
crypto mining. It's actual mines.
Okay.
It's called Prospector Portal, and she's just been helping
Wow.
guide me through those things. And,
Awesome.
and I think that that's the probably, if you're going into something that you don't have a lot of knowledge in, you need to surround yourself with people.
Yeah, well,
that
Oh,
do
I'm gonna
have
give
that
we're gonna talk about some fun here. Now we can go to the first thing I want you to do is see if you read the book Venture Deals.
No.
Okay. I have the book at the office. I'll get that to you. You need to read that book.
Okay.
This is going to tell you everything about the good, the bad, and the ugly of raising capital. I will tell you, I read that book and it changed my mind, completely changed my mind. But the reason it changed my mind is because it made me open my mind to see, does this make sense? Right? But it makes you, I knew nothing about raising capital. And I decided, right? I bootstrapped it. We talked to angel investors, we talked to VC firms, but it wasn't the route I wanted to go. And a big part of that was because I read that book. So I sounded more intelligent now when I talked to these people because I knew nothing. My first couple of calls, luckily we got a phenomenal CFO that could handle those things, because the first time I had no idea what they're talking about. The second thing, what I think you need to do is you're all around FAU and stuff like that, but the venture mentoring team or FAU Tech Runway, get into one of their programs. Because not only do you have your person that can be there, the mentor programs that they have, I will tell you.
Rolling, Kevin, are you watching?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
There you
See,
go.
look
Yeah.
at we're talking about you guys out there. It's having that mentorship that's there, so important. A big part of my book, like 2 whole chapters, is on mentoring.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
1 is my experience, and 2 is all the mentor groups that I went to, kind of what they do and how they do it. I believe mentoring is probably one of the most important things about starting a business as well, because I didn't know everything, right? You said that in the beginning, is not knowing everything about business, right? You just start it, right? You just go, hey, right?
It looks fun. People are making millions of dollars.
I had an idea,
Yeah.
right? You have an idea and you just run with it. But having those people there, I would say, I mean, and you know all those people, right? So having that,
Yes.
getting in there, I think it's important, as long as you have the right mentors,
Yeah.
right? Having the right
It has
mentors.
to be the right mentor.
We only have about 15 minutes left. We've got so many great things though to talk about. But as Premier Virtual, we really have 4 years in the game, and it seems sometimes like people are still just coming around to virtual and technology. Like HR seems to be as modern as tools as are available. I don't know what's the disconnect, but a lot of HR that we deal with seems to be still in the Stone Age. Like they're not using the tools. They're not. So you're going to have this super, super, uber brand new tool, right? That's going to say, hey, how do you think you're going to be able to position that in a space where, for us anyway, we see that they don't embrace it. They're not early adapters by any means. How are you going to, deal with that?
So
Great question,
know.
John. I mean, that is you're going right. That's beautiful.
He's putting me right on the
I
spot.
mean, I could leave right now.
Because
Mic
it's going to
drop,
help
it's
us.
done. Like, we're done. I don't even have to answer this question. They're going to have to, or they're going to be left behind.
Okay.
I mean, the world is not revolving around HR and archaic practices.
Yeah.
It's not happening. The world is already moving to AI, augmented reality, working in workspaces that are going to be fake, if you will. Like, you can do interviews now in augmented reality where you can bring up a coffee shop, but you're all in your home. HR is going to have to adapt. They're not going to have a choice. The problem is job security, and we see this every time we go into a new business or a new company that's having trouble with their HR. They're trying their best to hold on to their positions instead of adapting and growing and learning new ways to do things. We've run into it all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of individuals that I'm friends with, they're business owners, high-powered business owners, and they'll come to me and they're like, my HR did this. And I'm like, no, we can figure this out.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And then the HR person calls me and they're very defensive. And I'm like, no, stop thinking so in the box. Like, it's not going to work. And our society, from, I would say, younger millennials and younger, They don't know anything without tech.
I love that. I
Zero.
think you kind of hit it on the head right at the start. It's always been like about HR and their way of doing things, and it's neat to shift to about the job applicant and how they are going to do things, whether
Right.
you like it or not. I love that. Like the shift has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, people. We go into companies where they still do paper job
Faxes? Are we
applications.
doing faxes still?
Yes.
Oh
Oh
my
my gosh, faxes, paper job applications. We need them. It's legal.
crazy.
It's a legal precedent. We have to have them sign a job application.
Mhm.
Actually, there's no law in the state of Florida that says they have to sign a
Wow.
job
How
application.
about that?
It's more so that you have an out to fire them if they lie.
Mhm.
Plain and simple. There's no.
There it
legal-
is.
Yeah.
There's the truth. There is the truth right there.
Wow, we
So-
broke through a lot of BS on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, because in a lot of in the world, right? People make it, and when you find out about them, they're at least 4 years in the making. That's kind of like in the music industry. Anytime you hear about somebody, man, they've been busting their ass for a long time, and then all of a sudden, it kind of gets mass appeal. Everyone hears about it, but there's so much groundwork. There's so much more that happened. So I was just kind of asking that question because I think you are in a unique position. You are a consultant. So your clients listen to you differently than our clients. Our clients look at us initially as we're trying to sell them a solution, where you're trying to basically recommend the right solution. And that whole mindset is really a big difference because they need, like you said, they need what we do, but there's resistance, there's pushback. And I'm trying to figure out where is that disconnect. And I think you said part of it, they're still looking at their world as opposed to the applicant's world. So
and the whole world as a whole. And you also have to think most companies, the last place they spend money is HR
yeah.
because it's not a revenue generating
Right.
department.
Yeah. But how much does it cost to have
It's
turnover?
less.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We walk in and we like, all right, you've got how many W-2s did you write last year? Did you mail out on January 1st? And how many people are still employed? Easiest way to do turnover. And if you have over 15% turnover, you're bleeding your money.
Yeah.
And that means you're not investing in the HR practices to make your job easier.
Mm.
I smell another book.
So
yeah.
there's so much on HR. I will say, if you closed your eyes right now and you said, what does the typical HR person look like? You're probably going to have something in your head.
Yeah.
You probably right now, everybody listening, you could say, if you say, hey, what's a typical salesperson, a typical CEO, a typical HR, a typical recruiter, you in your mind have something sitting out, right? When I was in corporate America, when you said HR, I thought, oh, this is going to be a cringy person that I got to deal with that is just zero personality and it's all negative.
Why are they all mad?
And I try to, they're all mad, right? And I tried to work well. Like I always tried to play nice in the sandbox, and I would do everything that the HR wanted, right? Because I believed that they were my friends. Because I knew when I was going to go to them to fire somebody, they were going to ask me all of these things. So I was proactive with everything I did with HR. But then when it came time for me, right, that it was me, I was getting the sevens from them, they were just nasty to me. And I was like,
that's terrible.
for 4 years, I was the only person in the company that liked HR. The only one that did the right thing. And now you want to treat me like this? This shows the real type of person you are. But that's the mindset. And I truly believe as those people are weeded out and new people come in, right? We've talked about this a lot in the show. Technology. My kids are growing up with technology. The people in college today have grown up with technology. They know technology is important. So as the older workforce goes out, the newer workforce comes in and using the technology, it's going to be easy for them to adapt to using technology.
Yeah.
Because
I always give a rule to my business owners. If a candidate has to click more than 3 times, you've lost them.
Yep.
Wow.
It is because I can go on Instagram and shop now and order.
The instant gratification, right?
Yep.
We've talked about that so much, right? I was on a call the other day with somebody, and he was like, it's a transient workforce. The workforce is transient. They're moving. They're not staying there, right? Like you just said, 4 years
and
on
things
here.
like Upwork and things like that.
Right.
That
You can get the gig.
commercial's
You can get
hilarious.
the gig. The gig
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
But now let me ask you the tough question. Have you had, and you don't have to say the name of it, have you ever had to fire a client, and why?
I've had to fire 2.
Okay,
Nice.
can
All
we
right.
get juicy?
Yeah, we
We can get juicy without saying their names.
yeah, we can. The first one, interesting enough, it was one of my first clients, and having your first clients, you don't want to lose any of them.
Mhm.
And this client wasn't on a big contract, but I was trying to fix his organization. He was having a hard time keeping people. We implemented drug testing, we implemented background checks, we implemented all kinds of things, and
Even marijuana.
even marijuana.
What about now? Can you implement that?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as you have a drug-free workplace,
Okay.
the state still recognizes it as
Even though it's legal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's only legal in medicinal purposes, so it's not legal on a wide scale in the state of Florida yet.
Okay.
So, he would only drug test and background check certain individuals. He wouldn't do it to everybody. And I was like, listen, you're going to get in a lot of trouble for this. This is purely discrimination. Like, you can't, we can't do this. And he's like, well, it's my company. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I said, well, I'm highly advising against it. And he goes, well, you can't highly advise against anything. I said, actually, I can. And I said, you know what? I don't think this relationship's going to work out. And this is my 30-day notice, because all my contracts have 30-day notice. I said, this is my 30-day notice that we will not be moving forward with you. And I will be putting it in writing that we advised against running selective backgrounds and drug screenings. And then the second client that I fired was a pretty interesting situation. They were not doing things ethical in any
Oh, look at the smile on her face.
any shape.
A lot of BS was
Yeah,
going
there
on
was a lot of BS. There was a lot of underhand things. They had a individual who was working HR, and it was Nicole's coming in to do this person's still going to do this, but I could see everything that this person was doing, the things this person was covering up and hiding and taking money from. They were shifting money. They weren't paying taxes. They were
shady.
Yeah, just very shady stuff. And I went to the owner, and he told me he was going to ruin me. He was going to ruin my career. I'd never have another business in HR. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I've dealt with worse shit than you. And I promise you, you are not going to crush me. I'm like, because I know all the secrets at this point.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to breach the contract. I said, I'm not even giving you 30 days. I said, we're not going to. And I was like, if you want to take me to court, be my guest.
Yeah.
And
got ugly. Yeah,
I turned around and walked. I mean, it was bad stuff. Like it was really bad stuff. And so I don't like firing clients because it can hurt your reputation. Yep. But for me, I feel like my reputation is going to be hurt worse if I kept them on, because eventually I was going to be dragged into
for sure. You'd be
litigation.
Yep.
Yeah, then you got to deal with the BS on the backside. Yes. So sometimes, I've said this before. Sometimes you got to walk away from a client. Sometimes you walk away before just because of how they act. And from a salesperson side, I used to have a hard time with that. As now the CEO, I'm like, we need to do this.
It's more harm than good.
It's more harm than good. And like, I've had conversations with some of my sales team. I'm like, I don't think this is the right client for us. I'm like, they are just going to be a challenge, and it's there. And I haven't been wrong yet.
Yeah, we had a recruiting client that
by challenging means pain in the ass.
Yeah.
We had a recruiting client that we fired as well. He would not talk to anybody on my staff. He's like, I'm the CEO. I only speak to CEOs.
Whoa.
And I said, well, considering I'm not a big CEO and I run a small business, and I don't have $6 billion in the bank yet, I was like, I don't know what you're looking for in terms of viewing a CEO, but today I'm not the CEO. I'm a recruiter. And he's like, that's not how this works. And he was very just nasty to me. He was talking over me, and
it makes your decision easy when someone reveals themselves up front like that.
I'm not working with you. I don't have to put up with your shit.
There's no reason to deal with that. There's enough clients, money, and people that are happy. you know. So we've talked a lot today. I've learned more and more about you, so it's always a good time to have you on there. So kind of
Did we have a name of the app?
Yodel.
Yodel.
YODL.
YODL.
I saw that earlier. I was gonna say I guessed on that, but I saw it earlier when you showed it. So
Cool.
so we got the Yodel app that's coming out. You got Mend HR, Mend Recruiting, MEND, and HR is Sexy on Amazon. There's a lot.
Busy woman.
Busy.
Yeah,
Congratulations on all you do.
That's great.
You know, thank you for coming on the show, telling your story. Always love hearing stories out there. Our last part of our show that we always do, right, is the two truths and a lie, right? So John is up by 1 on me right now.
1, yep.
With an asterisk. But John's up on me by 1 right now. So we're going to go. But while you think of your 2 truths and a lie that you're going to tell us, right, and we got to try to see who's the better bullshit detector on here, I think I'm going to win.
Oh, I don't know. I think bullshit.
You can sign up. Please sign our little background right there. You might have to take off your headphones for this one, but think of that and sign. John, what a great episode.
Man, I didn't have to hit this once.
Not once.
Nicole is a straight shooter.
I mean, there was a lot of phenomenal information.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, not for nothing. Obviously, we're in the HR field. I mean, we deal with HR a lot. So this was really a lot of good things that were eye-opening and that we appreciate.
And the good thing is to see other people that are going through what I've gone through, what I'm going through, and it's not just me, but how many people out there, and that's really what this podcast is for, that say, man, where am I at? I have an idea. Yeah. Where am I going? Guess what? There's struggles. You're going to fail. You're going to have all these things that aren't going to happen right. But if you stick with it, like Nicole here, you can make shit happen.
The best advice I got was, you know him, Tony Aquaviva.
Mm-hmm.
He said, no matter what, stay the course.
Oh, yeah. You guys still working out in the morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning?
3 a.m.
3 a.m.?
3 a.m.
So they were at like a networking event one time and he was there and they're like, yeah, Nicole's like, oh, we get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like,
well, she can't use that as one of the 3 BS things.
Yeah, I already knew that.
I would have said that's BS.
That's
BS.
BS.
It's the truth. But he said, no matter what, stay the course. Even the days that you want to throw in the towel. And, you know, I think I went through all of December where I saw my daughter for like 30 minutes. Oh. There were so many events and so many things I had to go to and so many meetings. And I was just like, I don't know that I'm like, this is just too much. Like, it's just crazy. And his advice was just stay the course. No matter what, stay on what your target is. Don't go outside of those lanes. If you're not good in tech, you hire somebody that's good in tech and you just stay the course. You have your goal, and that was the best advice I think I've gotten.
That is phenomenal advice. Tell Tony I said thank you, right? Because it's such a truth. So, all right, let's hear it. 2 truths and a lie.
I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I jump off any cliff. This is tough.
I know. I know.
I traveled to 157 cities last year.
Whoa.
And
she has done a lot of keynote speaking and is a great keynote if you're looking for a keynote.
And I have a pet pig.
Oink, oink.
Oink, oink.
Man, you know the first few episodes, John, I was really good, right? I could read them.
I think they're watching.
I think they're watching and they're like, we're going to come up with something that we don't know.
Oh, man. We have cliff diving, traveling to 157 cities, or petting a pig. Steve, what's the BS?
I'm going to say you didn't go to 157 cities. I'm going to say it was more.
Man, I'm going to just fall for the easy one and say you don't have a pet pig.
I do not have a pet pig.
Oh, come on. That was too easy.
You were trying to be nice.
I was trying to be nice. I was like, well, dude, I have a buddy that's got a pet pig, right? He's got a potbelly pig.
Oh, so
I thought, okay, it's a thing here in South Florida. So, man, I'm down by 2.
They were just selling them on Facebook. So that's what made me think about it.
Oh, yeah?
No, I actually have a pit lab mix.
Okay.
So I have my Lukey.
Your Lukey.
But Yes, 157 cities last year.
Wow.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's a lot.
Yeah, you travel a lot. All those keynotes. Keep up the good work.
Thank
Keep up
you.
everything. We're excited to hear about the app. Let us know,
Yeah,
because then we can
Yodeling.
say, let's go. Let's make it happen. All right. Thank you, Nicole. We appreciate having you.
Thank you, Nicole.